Well, hello there, Carol Dockum here with beautifulfacesgoingplaces.com. I am so excited as we are continuing with our Business Spotlight series, and our special guest today is actually on our success team here at Beautiful Faces Going Places, a Women's Success Network. And I love everything about this beautiful lady. She is an amazing coach and lighter life coach, I'm going to say. She is all about health and wellness and fitness. And as we all know, health is so much more than just a diet and exercise, right? Many a times we may feel stuck and or struggle or really trapped in our everyday life routines with managing business and or work, family life, and finding the time for health and wellness. I'd like to introduce you to Theresa Vermillion. She is a certified personal trainer and a certified health coach and fitness coach. She is a leader in the personal development space and the creator of Lighter Life Coach. She takes women from overweight and overwhelmed to empowered so that they can have a lighter body and a lighter life. Her program integrates her experiences and knowledge in life coaching, education, personal growth, fitness, and health. Please help me welcome Theresa Vermillion.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, so I feel like, I'm just number one, I'm so happy to have you here and happy to have you part of our network and on our success team. I love the work that you do. You do bring light and life into everyone's life. And I'm just thinking about, as we're gearing up for the holidays, right? This can be a very stressful time. And, juggling all of the holiday activities. I see Magic in the background. Hi, Magic. Such a cutie pie. But yeah, we're getting ready to, to really dive into the holidays, and it can be a very stressful time, right? And we also have maybe a little bit of a tendency also to put aside our fitness goals or health and wellness and maybe overindulge. And what you do is really help your clients with all of the above. So Theresa, I just want to say welcome here. I'm thrilled to have you. Here is our business spotlight today. And let's talk about, Lighter Life Coach and how you help your clients and who are your ideal clients, right?
Right. Yeah. Thank you. And it is like, I didn't even think about the timing of this and how perfect it is, because even with the holidays, then, we do tend to indulge a little bit more, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we pile on our list of expectations we have of ourselves, things that have to get done. I feel like a lot of times really as women, Christmas happens because we make it happen. We shop, we wrap, we bake, we decorate. And I'm not saying that we don't have help with that, but it can really add to our list of things to get done. And then that adds to our stress and overwhelm, right? And so a lot of times when we do that, what's the first thing we do? We take ourselves off the list, right? And let's be honest, let's be real. Sometimes that is just reality. If somebody else is, if our children or our families or our parents or somebody needs something, then we give that to them, and sometimes that means that at the sacrifice of ourselves. So, sometimes that's reality. Sometimes it is simply choices we're making in our day-to-day life because we, have such high standards for ourselves. Sometimes I think women just basically are out there kind of crushing it and have really amazing goals and standards and things we know that we want to get done. And then, maybe I know for me, like I love to put too many things on my plate because I do want to do it all. And then we beat ourselves up and when we don't accomplish it, or feel like we're not being successful when we don't get to all of that. And so what a wonderful time to really just kind of learn to reset that. Because as much as we love the holidays, and I think we do those things because we do love the holidays, we also don't want it to make it unfun. We still want to enjoy the holidays and go through them with a lighter life, and just make it should be joyful. It is the season of lights, right? The
Yes.
world in the Northern Hemisphere, the world is, it's darkest, and the lights do, it's so fun to have all the lights out and up, and we should be carrying that around with ourselves as well, and not letting all of the things weigh us down, or all the food weigh us down, or all the weigh us down.
Yes, no, I absolutely love that. And you know what, the holidays just kind of came up and popped in my mind as we were gearing up for our business spotlight today. And so tell us a little bit about the Lighter Life Coach, how this evolved and came about. I know you're blending your, educational background, your physical fitness, coaching certification, but also there's an element of personal growth and development. So tell us a little bit about that background and how that has evolved and created the Lighter Life Coach. And then I'd love for you to share an example or two of a client that you have actually, that you have worked with and helped, and their outcome.
Okay, wow, that's great. That's a lot. I might.
I know it is a lot.
Bring me in. So, try to give you the background. A lot of it really just comes from my own personal experience, right? We had 3 kids, we had 4 moves. I mean, I was teaching school when my husband and I started having kids and moving for his job. And so, I mean, we had 3 kids, 4 moves within 7 years, and I was like overweight, out of shape, bottom of my own to-do list. I mean, there were a lot of really great positive changes, but they also changed my identity as well, and taking care of 3 babies, there isn't a lot of time left over in the day, and that's okay. The babies needed care. And so, when I shifted and the kids got in school and I became a certified personal trainer. So, because then I knew I'd be forced to walk the talk, right? And I do love fitness. And then became a certified health coach just to kind of keep that fitness certification current, and really got into. But there were 2 other things that also happened as I was in this fitness industry, Carol, that kind of made me go, wait a minute, this isn't how this should be. And one of the things was, just working with my clients. I mean, I would see them for a half hour to an hour, usually once a week. And they still weren't meeting their health and fitness goals like they wanted to, and other than obviously I didn't have any control. I wasn't with them 24/7, but what was going on that they were showing up, wanted it, and still struggling to get it. And one of the things is don't ever let anybody tell you don't want it bad enough, because I really truly believe that's never the issue. There's always something deeper that's stopping us. And the other thing that also happened at the same time was just having these intimate conversations with friends and girlfriends who, like I said, they're just out there crushing life and feeling like they were failing at all of it. And I just wouldn't be like, have you met you? And the more conversations, and they were very intimate conversations. And I'm not saying I'm not willing, just to be down for a good bashing session with my girlfriends, that's different. But to be like, not, to realize that us as women, we're creating these demands for ourselves and then not feeling good about ourselves at all. This idea that we feel like we have to be a certain weight, a certain size, a certain shape, a certain age to be of value, so we have to go to the gym and pound our bodies and restrict our calories so that we can look like what the world tells us we are supposed to look like, or we should feel terrible about ourselves. So once all that kind of came to light, I was like, this is not okay, and as I got that health coach certification, which many health coach certifications are still very much based on behaviors, that diet and exercise. And it's not to say that we shouldn't do those things or that those don't need to be changed. It's just not where we start. Those are simply habits. And when you start with a diet, you're forcing yourself into a habit change. And, all of the personal growth people know, that really we need to start with, what are our feelings? What are our thoughts? What are those beliefs we have about ourselves, about deserving to look like this, and knowing, what things happened in our past and what thoughts do we have that we may be self-sabotaging or not reaching those goals, or to make it easier to create a diet that really serves our bodies, and just going at it from a completely different perspective, and it's really not our fault. I'm in the fitness industry. I love it, but I think we have a few things wrong, and as does the diet industry, where it's, how can we have a diet industry as big as it is and still have obese people in America, right? So I just feel like, how fun, and it's no fun. We've taken food and fitness.
It is no fun.
Food and fitness, two things that are supposed to be fun, and we've turned it into a chore and a punishment.
Right.
So, like, let's, and for me, fitness is fun. It's not fun for a lot of people. Well, because we're in there making people do burpees. I'm like, no.
Right.
And it is fun to challenge your body and see what your body can do. It does feel good to feed yourself well and know that you're taking care of yourself. It's just much easier to do when you step back and look at why this is important to me. And
exactly.
what are my feelings about food, and where did those come from? Why do we have such stigmas on certain foods? Why do we judge food as being good or bad? Why do we judge ourselves based on whether or not we ate a cupcake or not, or ate sugar or not, or
that's right. It's not about the cupcake.
We ate broccoli, so we're good.
Yes.
And then, sometimes we even turn around and then think we should reward ourselves with the food that we abstained from. So it just gets and it doesn't have to be hard, it can be fun, and we just need to come at it from a different way.
Yes. And I think that's what I love about your approach, that, and the Lighter Life Coach and how that has evolved. It's more than just, following a strict diet and exercise. And there's so much more to it. As you mentioned, our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, and emotional. I think a lot of our, overeating and sabotaging ourselves comes from those emotions, right? And I think we all know that most diets fail. So it really is about a lifestyle, right? And so I love how you've merged really both mindset, personal growth and development with living a healthy life. So and incorporating, moving your body, movement, right, and fitness. So there's just so much more to it. And so tell us a little bit about, maybe give us an example of a client that you have helped, because I sometimes love to hear, success stories, because sometimes we can see ourselves in them, right?
Right. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. And I think this is just such a great way to explain it, because even in the programs that I've created, there is very little talk about diet and exercise. I can support you in that, but I'm not going to be saying, what did you weigh this week? Or, how's your calorie count going? It's good to know what changes need to be made when you get there. But one of my stories I like to tell, and we all talk about what are those feelings? What are some stories in your past? And it's just a completely different approach to knowing your truths and trusting yourselves. And so I was working with a client, and she has a pretty unique story. So I'm going to dance around as many details as I can, but we were talking about some of the ways. It's not always about food, right? Sometimes we are scrolling on social media, and sometimes we do that because we think that we want to numb out, and for me, it's like, okay, it's relaxing time, but sometimes it triggers us, right? And sometimes with triggers, we don't even always realize that we're triggered, but you could be scrolling social media and you can be mad, and, so what was happening, she would be triggered because people compliment her, and she's a beautiful person, and she has a very beautiful soul, such a heart for people. And she just is one of those people that lights up the room when she walks in, and everybody loves her. And she, so we're talking about how she can scroll social media, and she would be upset when people compliment her if there's a picture of her. And so we really needed to dig into that. And it was, and sometimes when we're triggered, we just go to the fridge and pour another glass of wine or get another piece of cheese or, eat the cupcake or get the chocolate or whatever it is. And then we wonder why we're not sticking to our diet. And because we're not even paying attention to what's going on inside us emotionally and mentally. So if people are complimenting her on how she looks in photos, and the truth is, she's like, well, they don't know my story, because she does have a backstory where she's needed some reconstructive surgery. And so, digging into it, it was about helping her. Now, and it's really important. I don't tell people anything. I ask questions so that she could understand. It wasn't the people making the comments that's triggering. It's that she's like, I'm mad that my story is my story. I'm sad about this. And I said, you are allowed to be sad that your story is your story, and we need to dig in and heal that and understand, because she knows her friends weren't being mean by saying you look beautiful. That wasn't it at all. Why is that a trigger? And why would anybody even think that's a trigger?
Right, exactly.
But for her, because of her situation and her story, it was like, I wish this weren't true about me. And in case it wasn't something she could change, but she could understand, at least at that point where you can go, that's what this is.
Yes.
Feel the pain, and then do what you need to do to deal with the pain. Because a lot of times we just get uncomfortable. Well, that's really painful. We don't want to be in pain, right? So we're going to go pour that glass of wine and keep scrolling social media because we think it will distract us from our pain instead of just sitting with it. Because you want to know.
Basically, you helped her identify her trigger, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that's just, a light example, light issues, but that's an example of the kinds of things you can work through with a coach. That's what coaching is. And that's where I bring the life coaching into it and be like, because what do we do when we don't stick to our diets? We beat ourselves up some more, right? We're like, I just need more discipline. I just need more motivation. It's very hard to be disciplined and motivated through the holidays when there is an abundance of sweet, unhealthy things for us. And, and that's where I just want to make it very clear. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like, and when you get all of these other things into alignment and you know what, that plate of cupcakes looks delicious. Do I want to eat a cupcake right now? And why do I want a cupcake? Is it because everybody's eating cupcakes? Is it because I'm at a party and it's Christmas time? Is it because I'm hungry and I haven't had enough calories yet today? Sometimes when we deprive ourselves, our bodies are like, I need calories. And then it doesn't care what you eat next. Just go rip open a package of food because I need calories, right? If you're a wine drinker at dinner time for a while, it's like, it's only 5 o'clock, but I would just want a glass of wine while I fix dinner. And one day I was like, I think I'm hungry. Apologies about my my sleeping.
Oh no, it's all good. Yeah, so that's my excuse when it's 5 o'clock and I'm thinking, I'm preparing dinner and wouldn't it be nice to have a glass of wine with my while I'm cooking?
And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you're not driving and you're not going to hurt anybody and that kind of that kind of thing, it's okay. But it's like maybe we just need to realize what is it, or what is or maybe it's like I've worked really hard today, or I accomplished the 3 things that were on my list today. I'm going to have my glass of wine because I deserve it, or I earned it, or I'm really mad at what that person posted on social media, or we have arguments or disagreements with loved ones, or things go wrong, and it's just a matter of being like, okay, slow it down. And in fact, Carol, I've created, there's a system. There's a very simple 3-step system where you can coach yourself through this. And it's called the GLOW method, the GLOW process, GLO, which you can remember because the Lighter Life Coach is going to teach you to glow. And it's G is get clear. So what is the feeling or the situation that's going on? Am I hungry? Am I tired? Am I thirsty? Am I mad? Am I frustrated? Am I overwhelmed? Those are feelings, or sometimes it's a very clear circumstance. This happened, this person did that, I'm mad, there's usually a circumstance that causes our feelings. So that's G, get clear on what's really going on. L, look for the trigger. Look for what made me mad, what's making me frustrated, what's making me happy, why am I celebrating? If it's like, get clear, I want a glass of wine, look for why, because I accomplished all my tasks today. Well, okay, but if I'm trying to lose weight and this is going to put me over, I know that this isn't healthy. So then O is to overturn the thought about the trigger. So if the trigger is, well, I reached all my goals today, I'm going to celebrate, you want to overturn that and be like, that's awesome. Let's celebrate by scheduling a manicure, or let's celebrate by making sure that I have time, quiet time off of social media to soak my feet and read a book. Find other ways to celebrate other than with things that are sabotaging your health goals. So you can use the flow method to self-coach yourself over whether or not you really want to have that glass of wine, eat the cupcake, have the chocolate, stay up too late on social media, or binge shop or binge watch Netflix, whatever. We all have our thing, that we like to go to. And just, if it's not serving you and it's a habit you want to change, then that's a great way to just dig into it.
Oh my gosh, I was not expecting, this $1 million golden nugget here with the glow method. I had not heard you share that before, so thank you so much. There's so much value in that. I absolutely love it. Get clear, look at the trigger for L, right? And O, overturn the thought or the trigger and redirect. So, wow, very empowering. Thank you so much for sharing that.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah.
You heard it first. That was the first time I really rolled it out to the world. So
I just want to say thank you for sharing it with, beautiful faces going places. So I really, really do appreciate that, especially as we are gearing into the holidays, and many of us will be juggling so many different schedules, and there'll be so many more demands on us. And I think the glow method will come. It's perfect timing to share that with the world. Thank you so much, Theresa. So let's talk about if you have any upcoming programs, or if any of our viewers or listeners heard something that sparked their interest, or they'd like to learn more about your programs, and or they need you as an accountability coach, and to really dive into health and wellness, especially moving into 2022, as many of us will have, New Year's resolutions, right after the holidays. Where is the best place for someone to connect with you, or maybe have a one-to-one call consultation, and or learn more about your programs?
Nice. So my website is lighterlifecoach.com. You can go to, if you want more, like to get my free guide about It's Not About the Cupcake, you can go to itsnotaboutthecupcake.com and download that free guide there as well. You can friend me on Facebook at Theresa Vermillion, and from there, we can also put you into my Facebook group, Lighter Body, Lighter Life, where I do share all kinds of those tips and tricks and thoughts and ideas and ways to work through those things that come up in our lives, so that we're not just, reaching for things that are unhealthy ways to deal with things that come up in our lives, and just do it in a really healthy way. And I'm not saying too that we don't feel those things, don't feel the uncomfortable feelings, or don't. One time my son said, my mom's one of those people that thinks she should be happy all the time. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not true. Sometimes, like we have bad days, sometimes things don't go well. Sometimes there is an emergency or a tragedy, and but we can still work through those in a way that we choose to. So that's how you can get in touch with me. And yeah, this is a great time to start thinking about that, because you can, go through the holidays on the ground running, and hit J1, as I like to call it, J1, like hit the ground running. Don't wait for then. And I know I used to do that. Like, well, it's November, it's the holidays. I might as well give up and just start again in the new year, right? And we can do that with health and fitness, and we can do that with business goals or personal goals or any goal. You know, we're just like,
right.
It's nuts. I got to focus on this. I'll start again in January, and I would encourage everybody, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, to be like, it's November 3rd. Let's go. Like every single day we have a choice. Every single day we have a choice how we get to show up. There's plenty of days left in this year. Every single day we can make a difference. Every single day we can choose to show up in a way that lights us up, and in a way that, you know, is going to serve the world and be the person we know that we are on the inside, that we are meant to be.
Well, and now we all know why you are Theresa Vermillion, the Lighter Life Coach. Thank you so much for sharing your brilliance with us here, Theresa. And cheers to, you know, November, December, the holidays, and to much success in 2022. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Likewise. Thank you for having me, Carol. You're amazing. I appreciate what you do for everybody.
Thank you so much. Mwah.